Today I want to do a really quick demo on SAP IT Operations Analytics and the predictive functionality that's available out of the box, as well as by integrating with Predictive Analytics, our predictive tool from SAP. So if I jump to the dashboard landscape in ITOA, you'll see here we do have time series forecasting available out of the box. So here the green line represents the predicted behavior and the blue line is the actual behavior. Now, if we'd seen an outlier where the predicted behavior varied too greatly from the actual behavior, you can go ahead and trigger an alert or notification. So if I click here, to enable time series forecasting, it's literally as easy as sliding the toggle on or off. And then outlier detection is also enabled by sliding a toggle on. So here I could do something like send an email to a recipient. This is really important because in the past in IT, they relied on threshold alerting. So you can imagine something like CPU usage. Obviously, less load is better than more load in terms of capacity. So you might set an alert to say trigger an alert if usage goes over 80%, for example. But if historically you've seen kind of 60 to 70% load and then that tanks down to 10%, that could be indicative that an application has stopped working or a symptom of another issue. So this is where time series forecasting and understanding past performance is really important. But of course, that only scratches the surface of what you can do with predictive. So in this case, our SAP Predictive Analytics tool has accessed data from SAP ITOA, so it's accessed that IT data from our HANA database, and we've gone ahead and created a predictive model. That's then exposed as a SQL view, which is being consumed by IT Operations Analytics, and that's what we're seeing here. In this particular example, we've created a model around predictive maintenance. So what's the likelihood to failure? In the past, you might have done something like preventative maintenance, so tried to understand, if the average time to failure is 18 months, proactively replace something at 16. The bad thing there is quite often things would have failed before 16 months, and at the same time, they might have kept working, for 2 years. So predictive maintenance incorporates a bunch of variables to give you basically a probability for failure. Now here we see that server 9 has a 9% probability of failure. And by clicking on this particular bar, I get more information about what's going on with this server. So I can see things like CPU and memory utilization over the last 7 days, as well as its status categories. So this machine has been, fairly healthy with a couple okay pings. But what's really interesting here is I've brought in master data. So this is something that ITOA enables you to do. You can bring in non-IT data and marry it with IT events. And we know here that we've predicted this server has a high degree of failure, but luckily it's got a low SLA, so I'm not going to be that concerned. But if I jump down to another server with a high probability of failure, like server 6, for example, we'll see there that has a high SLA. So this is a really critical server. So we want to make sure that we action this one because it's got a high probability of failure and a high SLA. That high SLA could be because it's serving sales or it's productive. Anyway, this kind of SLA management can be set by the business user. So this is a great example of where we've taken IT data, run a predictive model on it, fed it back into IT or ITOA, and then enriched it with business information to really make it quite actionable for an IT department. And that concludes the demo for today.